Heard on Thursdays with Nikki is about to go live online. Catch HOT, the iconic radio show that made Philippine FM radio talk, every Thursday on the Monster.
Streaming video on the Monster Facebook page at RX931, the Monster YouTube channel at RX931, and twitch.tv/Monster RX931.
You heard on Thursday's host, Nikki Porter. Stand by and enjoy the program.
Hey, Happy New Year, Monsters! Yes, we're entering a new year of hot and hotter conversations on HOT. That's Heard on Thursdays, the show that made Philippine FM radio talk. But we are exiting 2022 with a fiery episode. Now, that's powered by the stars, of course. It is predictions, after all, not the earthbound ones with 2 feet and pretty faces. We're talking about the stars above us because we're talking about astrology tonight. And yes, it is the second of our Predictions 2023 holiday specials on HOT, and I'm your host, Nikki Porter. For our previous predictions episode, we had astrologer, feng shui, and patsa master Judith Eugenio and her tarot reader daughter, Ellen Paula. Tonight, we bring back Filipino astrologer RESTI Santiago, who has, quite the history with HOT. He's been guesting on the show to spread the gospel, so to speak, about medieval astrology and to share his analyses and predictions for more than 20 years now. You might say that RESTI honed his craft, if not on HOT, then with HOT's patronage and support. And through the years, his fame and renown has just grown and grown, and he's now one of the country's foremost, if not the most, foremost astrologers. RESTI is billed also as your Filipino astrologer. He is the leading proponent of traditional or medieval astrology in the Philippines. Medieval astrology is the kind of astrology practiced by the advisors of the kings and queens of Europe. It has its roots in Hellenistic Egypt, although, he recently has been studying and mastering Eastern or Chinese astrology as well. So, apart from that, he studied and applied various branches of astrology for more than 3 decades. More than 3 decades. From print books published every year, he now offers timing guides in the form of ebooks, timing or date selection service, and business astrology. So in short, he offers astrology for empowered decision making. And it's, because it is a Predictions 2023 special, you can call in and ask your questions. Yes, we are accepting your calls. So get a free, quick astrological reading from RESTI tonight. The number is 8631-9393. Once again, that's 8631-9393, and add 02 before if you are using a mobile phone. Okay. So you make sure that you guys tune in, have your questions. In order for you to get a reading, by the way, you need your birthday, the time of your birth, and the question that you have so that RESTI can give you a proper reading for next year. So without further ado, Heard on Thursdays, your Filipino astrologer, RESTI Santiago. Welcome to the show, RESTI.
Okay, thank you, Nikki. It's nice to be back. No? And you mentioned that I been with HOT, since about the beginning of the current century. So it's really been a long time, and I would like to thank Monster Radio RX93 for allowing me actually to explore different aspects of astrology, other than the usual what's the forecast for each sign. So actually, I started sharing my weather forecast, for example, in RX93. So that was about 10 to 12 years ago. So thank you, RX, for this opportunity, to talk about different aspects of astrology.
For sure. And so thank you also for being ever reliable and, just being a good friend of the Monster, especially when it comes to predictions episodes like this. Now, it's been almost a year, if not a little bit more than a year, since you were on HOT. You were one of my first guests also when I took
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I remember.
so so in the year that's passed, Resty, how have you been? How has business been now that, the economy is booming once again? How is it like? How has it been like for you?
Oh well, I'm always busy, because I always try to come up, with something new. No, my recent what kept me busy in the past 12 months was actually our weekly live streaming. No, we
Mm.
do Tala Talks. No, it's every Wednesday. No, we with my colleagues, students, and other astrology enthusiasts. No, we have this online discussion on astrology. So
Ah, okay.
it's
Okay.
time consuming actually.
It's time consuming. Well, what do you usually talk about on there during your live streams?
Yeah, well, the theme is generally, the concept is talking about astrology beyond the memes, no, or beyond the usual connotation that astrology is horoscopes. No? So we try to discuss, just like what we do here, we discuss about different topics, current events, astrology and history, astrology and science. One of our last episodes, we talk about the Star of Bethlehem, no? So something like that, no. We talk about many things in light of astrological symbolism and wisdom, no.
Ah, so it's not just, you don't really do predictions or readings, but really more on the context of how else astrology is applied, how else astrology is studied by
Yes.
astrologists. Okay, that's very good. At least for those who want to know or who are interested, what is the name once again of the live stream?
It's Tala Talks, Tala Talks,
Tala
no.
Talks. Tala Talks.
Uh,
Got
uh,
it. Okay.
Live streaming from my FB page, Filipino Astrologer.
Every when is that, by the way?
Every Wednesdays, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Oh, okay. It's an extensive kind of talk, 2 hours. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure it's very in depth and exciting.
We want to educate the people, on the different aspects of astrology.
Awesome. And I'm sure those monsters who are interested in astrology who might want to be, to open up their minds a little bit more beyond, just like zodiac signs and everything. I feel like that would be um a very interesting live stream to learn more about astrology. Now, let's
Yes.
throw back before looking forward. So, more than 20 years and counting, you've been a credible authority, a devoted guest, a reliable resource person on Heard on Thursday. So, what can you say about the 2 decades that you have been here on Heard on Thursdays? Halos every year, no? Nandito ka.
Yeah, I visit the studio. No, I think it's only in the past 3 years that we're doing this
Mm-mm.
via StreamYard. Well,
Right.
of course, it's been very yeah. It was helpful, to me, because usually, at the end of the year, I come up with different topics. So it depends on who will interview me or what station. So basically, nga, what I appreciate the most in here,
Mhm.
RX93 is that especially, at the beginning, of my guesting, I was given the chance to explore, more than more beyond horoscopes, So I discussed different topics, especially with Rafi.
Mm-mm.
So every year, we come up with something new, something interesting for our readers and viewers.
Mm-mm. No, so in those past 2 decades, or ever since you even started your career as a Filipino astrologer, and since we are at the end of or the tail end of 2022, let's reminisce a little bit in terms of your growth naman, Resty. How have you changed since, starting out as a Filipino astrologer? How have you grown since in your career? How do you think?
uh, okay, maybe one thing, with astrology, I always say this, with to everyone, or especially to my students, astrology is a very wide topic,
Mm,
you have to study more and more, astrological information. So
mhm,
I would say that compared, parang every year I learn something new, or every year at the same time I share something new, to my followers. So it's an endless study for us astrologers.
I love that. And at least, there's always something new to learn, something new to discover also in terms of astrology. And that's what makes it interesting. Sometimes, you never know. You never know na parang, oh, like this is important information pala that I could apply in
Yeah.
career, diba?
Yeah, actually nga no, when I started with RX no, the title of my timing guide it was initially called Astro Time, no. Okay,
Mm-mm.
no, so Astro Time, and then around 2010 I changed it to Medieval Astro Clock, and in 2016 ano, it was I tried doing digital publishing, so we were promoting the timing guides no in PDF format no. So and now no it's the same thing no, parang so throughout the years, yeah, RX has been very supportive of this endeavor of mine.
Yeah, and I'm sure naman na it's really nice to see more people actually getting into astrology, not necessarily to take over the life, but then to just see how it helps give direction in one way or another in terms of the decisions that they make on the daily. Now, how do you think though the impression of astrology has grown throughout your career with the clients that you have, with the students that you have?
Um, yeah, well, I think it's a bit complex, no, because with the rise of the internet, social media, no, there are also different kinds of practitioners, no, especially from the younger generation. But some people, no, would claim, no, to be an astrologer, even if they're just
Right.
into it for 2 years, 5 years, no. So. Uh, it's a bit challenging for us who are seriously into astrology, to really present astrology as it was practiced in the past, because there are two kinds of astrology. Generally speaking, there is that let's say practical and down to earth kind of astrology, which is what I practice. And there is also this sort of mystical, magical kind of approach, which is very popular to, let's say, to a bigger number of people.
Mm-mm.
So it's a challenge on my part to present the kind of astrology that I practice and I believe in a more, let's say, easily understandable manner.
Yeah. And so how you mentioned that the more mystical one is the more popular one. So, but how would you like pitch, I guess, like, what medieval astrology would be like, the more down to earth one, so that people, those who want to learn it, will actually be encouraged to want to learn that kind of astrology? How would you pitch it to them if you think that they're leaning more into the mystical part?
Well, of course, is that really a question which is better, no? But my point actually is that those who are into the mystic, although maybe the better term is the magical, no? Not the mystical, no?
Mm.
So the magical mindset, no, it's not really bad per se, no, but as it is practiced right now, I think it can become a hindrance, no, towards growth and
Mhm.
even towards understanding what astrology is all about. No? For example, no, when I talk about Mercury retrograde, no, so I talk about it in a very light manner. It's more on guiding, no, the people on how to approach it. But some people, especially those with magical mindset, uh, might try to use the concept in a way that will instill fear, among the newbies. So
Mm.
I think balance, a more let's say logical, or even a more yeah, a more logical way of approach is what is needed,
Mm.
in approaching astrology and other mystical topics. And
Mm.
yeah, if I remember, no, you're also into this stuff.
Well, I mean, not super like I really religiously studied it, pero I mean, I'm
Yeah,
opening
you've
my
encountered.
mind. I'm opening my mind naman to the idea of, like, um being guided by
Yeah.
these different predictions and these readings, and to see maybe I can make better decisions because of them. And so that's why there's always been that interest for sure. Now, Rafi Reyes, former host of Heard on Thursdays, he said that when you started guesting on the show, there were a lot of skeptics about your brand of astrology. The astrology that the public was used to was the horoscope forecast. That's the most popular one that you would read in the daily newspapers or even the magazines. But now you have quite the following. So you're even like the dean of Filipino astrologers. So what do you think it is about medieval astrology then that people resonate most with?
Mhm. Well, the key word again is practicality, no? Although modern astrology is useful, no? By modern, I mean the let's say the horoscopes, no? They are sort of manifestation of these modern astrology, no? But definitely, for me, no, horoscopes per se, no, are not really astrology, no? So what I came up with is a method, no, or even the output, no, through the ebooks, my talks, lectures, etc. I came up with ways wherein people can see astrology at work. You know? So I'm also teaching them how to the language. I'm teaching them the language of astrology so that they can see it, no, happening. No? For example, the retrograde. No? So we recognize it. No? That is really affecting people. No? So from the usual horoscopes, no? So I try to present, no, different details of astrology so that yeah, they can see that it's applicable, no, in managing their lives on a even on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and practicality is very important for sure. So at least it's like if you want to find a reason, right? People kind of want to try and figure out, okay, why though? Because it's not just words on a particular paper. There can be some context. You can be given
Hmm.
more context, no,
and
from
y- and uh, and usefulness, no? And usefulness, no? So uh one of the purposes actually of the ebooks that I create is to help people manage their businesses, no? Or let's say for a housewife, know how to manage their day, or even yeah, the activities, no, of the family members. So it has a practical application. But I'm not just doing it, no, in a very dogmatic manner. No? So I'm presenting the system. They can check. No? They can. I came up with the calendar so that they will know what's in store, or what's happening in the sky, and then how it can be related, no, in our day-to-day activities.
I see.
So yeah, you can learn astrology through observation, and then what is it that you have to observe? It's there in the calendar.
Okay. And so you said practicality and it being used like on the daily with the decisions that you make. Is that also like the feedback that you've gotten as to why your clients rely on medieval astrology than any other form?
Yes, yes, definitely. No, so because well, of course, no, with regards to consultations, no, it has a certain cost, no. So
Mm,
the and then of course those who appreciate it the most, no, for example, the timing advices that I give, no, or even when they are making decisions, they consult me who to hire,
mm.
so or when to launch something or a business. So it has its own value, and then more people are actually realizing it, no, other than let's say compared to horoscopes, you will win the lottery today, no? So you cannot that's a generalization, but what I'm presenting is something that you can test, and then through the years your appreciation, no, would grow, no? And that's the feedback that I get, no, from my clients, no? Actually most of my clients have been consulting with me since 10 years, 20 years.
Mm-mm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and so now though, for all the monsters tune in. By the way, I am talking to Filipino astrologer Resti Santiago. So if you want a reading from Resti here, call us up at 8631 9393. That's 8631 9393. Don't forget the 02 if you're using a mobile phone, and you need your birthday, your time of birth, and the question that you have in mind. So be sure to call us up if you have any pending questions. And for those who are also commenting on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, be sure to include your birthday, your time of birth, and your question for Resti right here. So now, though, I do want to ask. You bill yourself as the Filipino astrologer. There seems to be like a nationalistic aspect of the title. So can you elaborate? What made you come up with this title? Why you wanted to be called this?
Uh, yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad that you noticed that. No? Well, it's a deliberate no decision on my part, no? Because when I was younger, studying astrology, all the books no, that you'll be reading
Hmm.
would be is are Western country centric, no. So
Hmm.
every the examples no, would be about celebrities from the US, no. So
Yeah.
even the computations, no, even the dates, no. So some astrologers at the time would even say the retrograde will be on this date, no, but they were referring to the date, no, for the based on the USA, no. So when I was doing my thing, no, so I tried to convert everything, no, especially the dates, the time, no, into our time zone, and also with regards to the when teaching, no, or when giving examples, no, I use the Filipino experience, the Filipino personalities, no, and of course, I studied a lot, no, the chart of the Philippines. So there's this, uh, uh, yeah, bias, no, and I want to, basically, I really want to improve, no, the quality of astrology in the Philippines. So yeah, there's this nationalistic side. No?
Yeah, and it's very, it's very, what do you call this? It makes it very relatable. It makes it more personable, especially for, Filipinos who are interested in astrology for sure. Because yeah, most of us we will rely on Western
Mm,
readings. But for you, it's very nice to be able to have these readings, but applied in terms of like Filipino culture and Filipino
yeah,
way, so that we're not really veering too far off from our own culture when you do a reading
yeah,
for any Filipinos for that matter. So that's great. And so for those who are for the monsters who are tuned in, if you're interested in a more Filipino kind of reading, then
yeah.
Resti Santiago is for you.
Yeah, while waiting for them and for the callers, I would like to add, no,
Sure.
because of that emphasis, no, on the Filipino culture, no, I actually was able to discover, no, that we had no, some form of astrology in the Philippines even before the coming of the Spaniards. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
isn't it great? No,
It,
there's actually a term, no, by an anthropologist. No, he came up with this term, the Teduray concept, the Teduray zodiac. No, so
oh.
and yeah, yeah, and he found out that there are certain methods that they use to time their planting activities. So when I read the description, what came to my mind is that it was actually an method of astrology, no, that they were using. No? So with regards to that Filipino-ness no, of the astrology, no, so I'm actually collating also some
Mm.
ancient practices specific to the Philippines. So yeah, there's
Ah,
a cultural aspect as well.
that's amazing. I mean, I learned something new tonight. The durai, is that
The
how
Tuduray, yeah, yeah.
it's fascinating?
Actually, no, it's 11:38 now. If you go out, no, and look up at the sky, exactly at the top, you will
Mhm,
see the constellation Orion.
mhm.
Yung Orion and then the Orion's belt, no, is, di ba, it's called the Tres Marias, no?
Mm,
Okay. For the Tiduray, this constellation, it's called Ceretar. No? Ceretar.
Seretar. Okay.
Yeah. So when they see this constellation in the east, no, at 6 o'clock, it means it's the beginning of the planting season. Okay.
Wow.
And then when they see it at the top of the sky, around the sunset, no,
Mhm.
it means they have to plant already. No? And then when it's already past that a certain angle in the sky, they can no longer plant.
Wow.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's very amazing that even our the ancient people no, in the Philippines no, also
Yeah.
practice some form of astrology.
For sure. That's really cool though. And is it safe to assume that they came up with the duray to just for the purpose of like planting, not necessarily, or did they use it also for readings about like you shouldn't give birth on this day, or we shouldn't go and fish on that day? Like, is it
Yeah.
also for those readings?
Okay. There are from other parts of the Philippines. No, there are certain tradition on when to fish. When not to fish. No, I think this one from the South Tawi-Tawi. They look at the Ursa Major.
Mm.
Okay, it's like actually there's even a yung something no that they call bubu,
Ooh.
wherein which is an actually fish trap, no, and
Mhm.
it is of the shape of the Ursa Major, and then when they see a certain movement, no, in that constellation, it means the fish is coming in that fish trap.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
very
so it
cool.
means if they see this constellation with some flickering lights, no, in the that they can see inside, it means they have to fish. And if there's none, they should not be fishing.
That's so fascinating. Monsters, I hope you're as fascinated as me in learning about our own culture and how we came up with our own methods of like reading the stars and how it applies in at least in the life before. That's pretty awesome actually.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Now,
Very interesting.
yeah. So back to you being the Filipino astrologer. You are in some way like a traditional astrologer. Now, for the benefit of those who didn't catch your previous guestings on HOT, what is medieval astrology?
Okay, well, a medieval astrology is actually a traditional astrology. It's the kind of astrology that was practiced from 100 BC until the 17th century. So basically, it means that their practices, no, or the teachings, no, from these astrologers were really considered, no, as scientific, no, mathematical, philosophical, no, and most of the rulers, no, for example, the Emperor of Rome, the caliphs of Baghdad, no, the kings and queens of medieval Europe, they consulted with astrologers. No? So,
Right.
so the kind of astrology that they practice is medieval or traditional astrology,
But there are
which is
different ways of wielding that medieval astrology from the different cultures, right? Or-
well, actually, from Hellenistic, from Egypt to Rome, to Greece, to Rome, to the Middle Eastern countries, and
Mm.
going back to Western countries in Europe around the Middle Ages, it's actually the same tradition. So same kind
Oh,
of astrology throughout. There are some slight changes because of the translation, from transfer from one culture to another, but it was basically one whole tradition from the 100 BC until the 17th century. And they
okay.
were able to prove that it works because kings and queens. Actually, if your let's say if your advice or forecast, no, was wrong at that time, no,
Mm-mm.
astrologers were even put to death. So it's a
Yeah,
serious,
that's right.
it was a serious matter. It's a serious business.
Buti na lang Resty, you're an astrologer now, no?
Oh, yeah, well, but they really went through a very rigorous training. So
Mm,
now, for me, in my case, the rigorous training is self-imposed. No? So
mm.
in that case, nobody can criticize me for, let's say, coming up with something, let's say, a wrong forecast. Well, it was a voluntary action on my part to study this and then come up with something. So it's all voluntary. But at that time, it was the task of the astrologer to give good advices to caliphs, kings and queens, emperors of Europe.
Yeah, so how does this differ now from the horoscopes and the astrology that our monsters can find, in publications and websites on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram?
Uh,
How does it differ from that kind of astrology?
yeah, well, in the late 20th century, our problem was that astrology was in the comic section of the newspapers.
Yeah.
So basic, yeah. I actually did some horoscopes for a few newspapers when I was starting. Uh, but okay, so it was a challenge to be sort of respected, no, by the let's say even the academe, no, for example, no.
Right.
So when I started my career, my challenge was to get away from that connotation that astrology is for entertainment, no. So which it is not, no. So horoscope is for entertainment, no, but astrology as a whole is not for entertainment.
Mm, gotcha. Well, at least now you're able to you were able to branch out of that, and now you're making a name for yourself as a Filipino astrologer, and you have a lot of people who are, who depend on it to live their life, to make decisions, to handle their businesses. So there is Western astrology and there is Chinese or Eastern astrology. You practice both apparently, but were you baffled when you first got into Eastern astrology naman?
Uh, well, not necessarily baffled, no, but I would say that I appreciate the yin and yang or the east and the west variety, no, because there are some angles that you can only see, no, using Chinese astrology. But
Mm.
well, let's say, but according to I have given readings, no, from people who have tried both, no. So when I was just starting, no, so they told me that what I said to them, no, using Western astrology is exactly the same as what you will get, no, from a Chinese astrology. No? So it's really basically the same. It's just that the methods are different, the language, no, is different. Even the stars that you're focusing on are different, no, from each system. No? So it should be the same. But what I appreciate is the timing, no? Because my main output is timing guides. No? So Bi- astrological timing kasi is more of combining several layers, no, of
Mhm.
factors. No? So for example, no, they in Chinese astrology, they don't have the void of course moon, no, which is the main component of my astro energy, my timing guide, no, ebook. No? So okay, so but I know that it really works, no. Void of course, no. If you start a business on the void of course, the business will not flourish. If you sign a
Mhm.
contract, the contract might not be honored because it's a void of course moon. Chinese astrology does not have that. No? So, okay, so okay, uh, but then there are certain factors, no, in Western astrology that is not present in Chinese astrology and vice
Okay.
versa. No? So what I took from Chinese astrology are the concepts that are not present in Western astrology.
Oh, so are your readings now kind of a combination of both, or do you find yourself relying more on one than the other?
Yes, that's correct.
Mhm.
Though. So I don't want to confuse myself and even my readers. So I said that our main, our primary source is Western astrology. So I use 85% of Western astrology and about 15 to maybe 30 at most Eastern or Chinese astrology with respect to timing. No? I don't really do natal chart reading using Chinese
Mm.
astrology, but I use Chinese astrology for timing. And then, of course, I also studied feng shui, no?
Okay.
Which is a
Well,
Chinese concept. No?
yeah, yeah. And so we actually do have a couple requests here through the comment
Yes.
section. So I have Eloise Le Gonzalo who commented her birthday is December 21, 1976. Born on 8:20 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
then her question or her concern rather is should she work abroad next year?
Okay. Uh-huh. Work abroad. No. Okay. Let me check. Okay. Uh, her ascendant sign is Capricorn, and the ruler of the planet, no, representing abroad, no, in her chart is actually Mercury,
Mm-hmm.
which is in her first house. So basically, this means that she will really be working abroad, or there's a strong connection between her and another country, or basically she will enjoy, no. being in another
Yes.
country. No? So with regards to timing, yes. Okay. Another important thing. No? She'll be having what is called the Jupiter return, no? By the second half of 2023. So
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter return is a beginning period. No? It's like the first half of the year is an ending period for her, and the second half is the beginning period. No? And that planet, no, indicating the new beginning, is aspecting her planet that refers to traveling or abroad. So the
Nice.
answer is yes.
There we go, Eloise. You are traveling abroad for work next year. We hope that you still tune in at RX when you do. All
Yes,
right.
yes.
Up next we have JC Ben. Birthday is June 12, 1985.
So
Um
1985.
yes, time of birth is 1:32 in the morning.
Okay.
And I
Question.
believe they want a general reading for their career or their business.
Okay. What's the name again?
JC.
JC. No, JC. Okay. For JC, his ascendant sign is Aries, which is one of the luckiest signs no, next year. And he also has Venus in Taurus. No, the two signs no, that will be affected by the lucky planet in 2023 are actually these two signs, no, Aries and Taurus, no. So it's a good thing, no, for JC. Aries means Jupiter in Aries for you means beginning, and Jupiter when Jupiter moves to Taurus on the second half of the year, it means profit, no, from whatever you will begin in the first half of the year.
Ooh.
No? So actually, generally speaking, no, even without the chart uh, the first half of 23 is for beginning something. It's good for startups.
Okay.
Okay, but startups of the practical kind, no, not startups that have practical or even measurable methods. No, in contrast to the previous years, wherein anybody can come up with a company and then, but then it's not really doing or promising anything. So,
Mm.
startups that really has something, a good product, no, and definitely, this is a good year to start that, no, because. In the next few years, definitely the economy will boom again.
There we go, JC. It is your year apparently because Aries, you said
Yes,
it's good. They'll have a good year next year.
yes. The
Fingers
keyword
crossed.
is expansion.
Expansion. Love it. Okay. We have a third request here from Wilhelm. The birthday is December 14, 1987. And then the time of birth is 2:34 in the afternoon. And then they just want a general forecast for career and money. Oop, I think your audio got cut, Resty. Oh, can't hear you right now.
Okay,
Yeah, there
okay,
we go.
sorry,
There
sorry.
we go.
Yeah, okay. Okay. It's
Wilhelm,
the
yeah.
same. Yeah, Wilhelm has the same configuration or similar configuration with JC. No, so the same thing. It's a new beginning period, no, for Wilhelm. Although the lucky sign, his lucky sign is is Taurus, no? So second half of the year is good, no, for him. No? So basically, it's the 2023 is about ending and beginning for him as well.
There we go. Wilhelm, I hope that helped you as well as JC. For those who want a reading, whether you're a listener on radio, do call us up at 8631-9393. That's 8631-9393. Just don't forget the 02 in the beginning if you are calling through a mobile phone. But also, those who are commenting for their readings, be sure to add your date of birth, your time of birth, and your request or the question that you have in mind. So right now we do have a caller with us. All right. So here we go. Monster, hello. Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
Nikki. It's me, Marky.
Hi, Marky. Wow, welcome to the show,
I
Marky.
can't believe I got in on you guys. What's up? How you doing?
We're doing
I'm so
good.
interested in zodiac. I swear to God, like I really want to know what I'm an Aries actually.
All right. Well,
Okay.
Marky, you this is medieval astrology, so this might be a different reading for you. Now, do you know your birthday, your time of birth, and the question that you have for this evening?
My birthday, my time of birth, I'm March 21, 1987, 4 p.m. and yeah, Philippines, Manila.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And do you have a particular question in mind?
I don't know how's my year gonna be next year.
All right. So general reading, I guess, Rusty.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Uh, okay. So being Aries, no, you actually have two planets, no, in Aries, no. You have the Sun and Jupiter there. So when Jupiter enters this sign, it means an expansion of opportunities, no, for you, no. And this also falls in one of the houses of money. So uh, there can be opportunities to earn more money, especially in connection with someone else, no. So it's like a business partnership, no, it might be forming up, no. So it's a go signal for most of your uh, let's say big plans, no.
Nice. All right.
But
that
there's a warning on because your ascendant sign is Virgo and Saturn will be opposing it, no. It means that you have to be careful with your health, no. Or so basically it means you have to have a checkup at the beginning of the year.
A checkup at the
yeah,
beginning of the year, Marky.
yeah. I think that's what I need to do. Yeah, I'm gonna go get myself checked next year.
All right.
So thank
Well,
you so
I
much.
hope
Thank you for
you
that,
have a good year
and
as
more
well.
power.
All right. Thank you so much, Marky. And just like that, monsters, you can go ahead and call us up at 8631933 if you guys want a reading from Resti Santiago, the Filipino astrologer who I have as my guest tonight here on Heard on Thursdays. I have one more for now. We have Mitch, who was born March 23, 1978.
March 23,
Mm-hmm.
1978.
Uh-huh. And then a born 7:30 in the morning.
Mhm. Okay.
And then just a general reading for her year, please.
Well, we have a lot of Aries
Oh, I'm
callers.
gonna ask next.
So basically, it's the same thing, no? New beginnings for them, no. But one thing that's different, no, in her case is that she has several planets, no, in this sign, including Venus, the planet of love, and Mercury, the planet of learnings or communications. So these areas of her life, no, let's say studies, partnerships, no, will be and even financial matters, no, will be activated in 2023. So I think there will be she needs to make some decisions, no, regarding these matters. So, but basically, the keyword is actually focus on the self, no? Because of the involvement of the planet of relationship. Uh, for now, the lesson is she needs to focus on what she really wants in life, in a relationship, or maybe in her career. So it's a time for introspection, especially the first 3 months of the year.
It's going to be a critical time for you, Mitch. So a lot of introspection on your part. And I hope you figure out what it is that you really want in life next year. All right. So for now, we will go back to some questions, but keep sending monsters your request. Once again, your birthday, your time of birth, and then also any question that you have for next year, what you want to manifest probably for next year. So Resty though, back to the questions. Let's say, if you weren't the Filipino astrologer that you are today, can you imagine what you would be doing like instead?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a good question. Something that's really important, no, to me, no, because I did not dream to become an astrologer, which
Mm.
well most of practitioners actually did because we really didn't have a model. No? Okay, so anyway, but the direction of my life, no, when I was younger, is actually was actually moving towards the direction. So if I did not become an astrologer, I might have simply focused on other topics or other other let's say disciplines, no, connected with astrology, which can either be history, psychology, and I actually took up philosophy. No, I graduated
Okay.
AB philosophy. No, so it's really about studying life in general, and
Mm.
maybe giving advices. So maybe the closest would be a teacher or a psychologist.
That makes sense. And I think those are two really cool professions for sure. But I mean, that would be, I guess, in a different timeline, in another universe, another Resti Siguro who's living out that life. But
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome that you're able to find yourself, find a niche for yourself, especially as a Filipino astrologer. So, how did you pursue medieval astrology? Did you take formal studies? Did you train or apprentice under anyone?
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so I actually began my practice as an astrologer in 1997. So as a writer, I wrote for Solar Publishing in their magazines. No, so I actually wrote from 97 to around 2007.
Mm.
Okay, no, so I did a lot of articles. No, actually, even minsan every 3 days, no, I came up with an article. So
Mhm.
anyway, uh, mostly those were about psychological astrology, no, which is part of the modern system. No?
Mhm.
But there came a point, no, that some people began consulting with me, no, and then they asked for certain dates. They asked for certain to make certain decisions. No? The problem with modern astrology is that it's psychologically focused. No? So the idea is you have to cheer up people. So you have to tell them the good things. No? Okay. But when talking with business people, that is not what they want to hear. No? They want to hear a very pragmatic, down to earth assessment, no, of their plans. No? So you have to tell them that it's not going to be a good venture. You have to tell them that you will encounter certain disagreements or problems with certain people. So they need some direct guidance. No? In contrast, because modern astrology was built upon the premise that the character is destiny. No? So they don't really believe, no, that there is fate. No? So the approach is more on, yes, tell them the good side, tell them the good things because it will inspire them. No? So this is the concept of modern astrology. But medieval astrology is, as I mentioned earlier, it's more practical. No? If they need to make a decision, you have to give them, no, the black and white, no, interpretation of the planet, no, so that they can make the better or the right decision. So parang walang bulahan. Ano?
Mm.
You have
Oh,
to tell them as it is. It's
yeah.
up to them to decide.
For sure. And I know, and tonight there seems to be a lot of people who are very interested in knowing how their life is going to be like next year so they can make probably better decisions in 2023. So, up next, we do have Jet, August 12, 1998, born 5:55 in the morning. And
That's 1998.
yes, 1998. Younger
Five.
than 5:55 in the morning.
Okay, no question.
Just a general reading, I believe.
Okay, so one good thing, no, about his chart is that uh, his chart was under several difficult aspects, no, from Saturn
Oh.
in the past 12 months. No? So the good thing, the good news is that it's going to be over. No? So maybe he's at the tail end of several cycle of bad luck, and it's going to end as the year progress, as 2023 progress. So that should be good news. So he can focus now on what he needs to do, and Jupiter will be at the top of his chart by the end of the or by the second half of the year. So it means recognition or support, no, in the workplace, or there will be improvements in his career.
Love it. There we go. You are at the end of the tunnel, Jet. You have overcome your trials for the past 12 months. Congratulations. You have made it this far. So I really hope that 2023 it turns around for you. Up next, Resty, we have Joff naman, December 7. We have a lot of like Decembers and the
Yeah,
air.
and yeah,
Huh?
April and March.
Yeah, so December 7, 1987, born 7 a.m. And so the question is, how is my year going to be in terms of career, love life, and health?
Okay, we cannot cover everything, no, but something is very prominent, no, in his chart, no.
Okay.
Okay, his Jupiter is also in Aries, no, so it's a Jupiter return, so it's a good year for him, no, and it's in the house of relationship, no, and even the house of children. I don't know if he is married or engaged or what, no, but highlighted what is highlighted is the fifth house or the house of children. So
Mm.
if it's applicable, go. If not, be careful.
It's a
Okay.
warning also. It serves as
Yeah, it's a warning. It depends of if you want it. No, if not, yeah, be careful.
all right. Well, apart from Jeff, we also have Karen. Karen Legaspi is requesting a reading for her love life. She was born December 5, 1990,
Mhm.
and born 2:06 a.m. 2:06 in the morning.
Okay, love life. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is a good year, no? Her ascendant sign is Libra, which is the opposite sign of Aries, no? And so that makes that places Jupiter in the house of partnerships, no? So if she's single, this is the year that she'll find someone,
There we go.
or if she's with someone already, so there will be a turning point, no, in the relationship.
There we go. So for
Mhm.
your Karen, 2023 is gonna be looking good for your love life then.
And with regards to career, this is also the beginning of her rise. No? For the past few years, no, she felt that maybe she was not given the right opportunity to grow, or she was not recognized, no, in the workplace, no, or wherever. No. So starting this year, I call this a period of visibility, or a period of going out. No? So she will be more visible.
I love it. There you go, Karen. I hope you enjoyed your reading. Up next, we have Janelle naman. Janelle's birthday is January 7, 1994. Birth or time of birth is 11:11. Wow, lucky. 11:11 p.m.
11, 11.
Yes. So,
Okay.
general reading for career and relationships.
Okay. Saturn. Saturn is now in. Okay. What the most significant cycle in her life now is what is called the Saturn return. So
Okay.
Saturn will be going back to the place it occupied when she was born. So basically, Saturn is about accepting one's limitations and moving forward from there. So of course easier said, no, than done, no,
Mhm.
because
Right.
it entails some decision making. Maybe she needs to let go of something or someone before she can start her life anew, no. So the purpose of this is for of the Saturn return is for us to rebuild our lives, no, from let's say from some form of failure, disappointment, or what, no, so that you build your you can build your life anew on a more stable footing.
There we go, Janelle. I hope that helped. And I guess also, is it safe to say, Resty, that in terms of like relationships, no, this reading, can it be like she needs to heal for her to be able to pursue something new?
Uh, I think yes, no, in connection with that Saturn return, no, because Saturn return is all encompassing, no. So parang it parang it will hit, no, you deeply, no, right into your soul, no? So yeah, there can be a lot of major decisions, including that of the relationship. So healing is part of it, no, of course, no. So if she been through a difficult situation, no, that's part of the Saturn of letting go, no. If
There
this
we go.
past experience is no longer useful, no, in the future that you want to build, no, you really have to let it go, no, and then focus on what you really want.
There we go. Janelle, I hope that helped. We still have a couple more. Let's see if it's all right with you. Uh,
Uh-huh,
we
yeah.
we have Asuncion, born March 22, 1954, at 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
uh, okay, wait, march
20,
march 22, 1954,
mhm,
3 p.m.
3 p.m., correct?
Okay,
The
and the
question
question.
is it too late in life for me to have a new beginning or a new environment or work?
Okay, no, so her sun sign is also Aries, no, so the same thing, the same theme of starting anew, and then her these Aries planets are actually in the ninth house of travel, no, so relocating might be an option, no, if
Wow.
she's contemplating on that. No, of course, it depends on what's on your plate, no, but if that is the case, travel. New beginning is precisely what Jupiter in Aries is telling us.
I
So
love
yes,
it. Yes, Asuncion, not only is it a new beginning, it's an adventure for you. It seems like it's gonna be a bit of an adventure for you if it
uh,
involves traveling. So I hope that helped. And don't be afraid to take the jump if you need to.
yeah.
So
Yeah, there's actually another major
sure.
factor. She has this Saturn and the Moon in Scorpio, no, in the fourth house. No, fourth house has something to do with one's roots, a home or a house, no, in general, and it's still being going to be eclipsed, no, this year. So the fourth house has something to do with ending, while the Jupiter in the ninth house is about travel. So I think it's connected, no. There might be a need to get out of somewhere and go somewhere else.
All right, there we go. And finally, for now, we do have Edel,
Mm-hmm.
whose birthday is November 30, 1979,
Mm-hmm.
born 5:20 p.m.
Okay.
The request is for a general reading for money or career and relationship.
Okay. She's undergoing a. Okay, this is a bit more complex, no? Is she in business? If she's in business, there is really a potential, no, to do well. But is she in business? Can we ask?
I'll ask. Edel, do you have a business that she owns, correct?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. All right. So, Edel, if you can go ahead and reply if you do have a business that you own or if you're working for a company, let us know. But for now, is there anything else you can add to her reading while we're waiting? Oh, she's a financial advisor. She's a financial advisor, so she doesn't have her own business, but she works for a financial group.
Okay. 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 So, well, actually, the reason why I asked if he has a business is that she has a millionaire's mark, no, in her chart.
Oh,
No? Okay. Yeah.
oh,
Well, so basically, maybe she's handling a big amount of money, which is somewhat close to that
yeah.
description.
Pretty much.
Okay. So, okay. But for this year, for this coming 2 years, actually, Saturn will be opposing this lucky combination in her chart. No? So, uh, she might consider some big changes in her career in that case. No? And one of although not immediately, maybe, because this might be a 2 to 3 year process, so
Okay.
she can or she should consider having her own business within
Eh,
the 3 year span. So take it
very
slowly. Maybe the events in your life itself will tell you what direction to take. But this combination of luck, no, she's lucky, and she's also a hard worker. No, so that combination is what I call a millionaire's mark. And then of course, if you are working for your own company, your own business, the results now will be much better and bigger. So consider that in the next 2 to 3 years.
All right. Well, that's all for now for the in terms of the readings. But we are nearing out of time, Resty. I love that you got
Yeah,
so many readings. That's so cool and so
yeah,
exciting.
thank you. I also
Yeah,
enjoyed our discussion. We were able to touch on many things.
yeah, for sure. And so, do you talk to us about the ebooks that you have? You said it has something about timing. For those who are interested, who even had the reading with you tonight, who might want to learn more about what else they can look forward to for next year. Can you tell us more about your book?
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I publish my ebook, it's called Astro Energy, so basically it means the study of the energies, in our environment on a day-to-day basis, and how we can tap into it, so that we can use it in achieving, our goals. So basically, astrological timing is twofold. There are certain time periods that you have to avoid, and there are certain time periods that you have to choose. So that's the guidance that I'm offering. Uh, Time periods to avoid and time periods to choose. So with that, it's a very helpful tool, for people who wants to achieve, many things. And it's available through me. You can send an email at Filipino Astrologer at gmail.com. And I have an FB page, same name, FB slash Filipino Astrologer.
All
It's
right, there we go.
it's very affordable, no? It's just 500 pesos
For the whole year na yun, that
for the
book
whole
is
year guidance. Yeah.
love it. All
Yeah.
right. And so okay, just for some context also, who can like what can you how do we use them practically? How do we when we
Mhm.
consult with them, how do we read it?
Okay, no, it's it's simple. Although the book itself, the ebook itself is 200 plus pages, no, but in mobile format, no, mobile phone format. Uh, okay, so there are explanations on what the astrological configurations will tell us. There are forecasts for the year using Eastern and Western astrology, and then there are also several articles, no, written by local and international astrologers. No? Okay, so you can get a lot. No? Okay, but the main purpose of the ebook is the timing guide. So the timing guide is actually in calendar format,
Okay. Gotcha.
calendar. No? So every day there is a symbol, telling you that it's a good date for a certain activity, and there's a symbol telling you that you should avoid, let's say, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Avoid it when making, let's say, sales presentation, sending an important email, or any major activities. So it's very simple. No? You just look at the dates, what symbol is there, and then you can decide, whether you will use that date or not.
All right. Last two questions. Tell us about Astrology Friends Philippines. What is this about? And who and how can you join the community?
Okay, no, so thank you for that question. Astrology Friends Philippines, I think, is the oldest astrology FD group, no, in the Philippines. It's now on its 12th year. No, we just had our 12th year anniversary a few days ago. No? Okay, so it's easy to join. You just have to find the ethnic group, Astrology
Mhm.
Friends Philippines. No, we are proud, no, that we have let's say gathered together, no, several of the best practitioners as well as enthusiasts and students, no, in the Philippines. No, our members include the former Rappler writers who did astrology columns, no, and then uh, we also have someone from Australia who is the directress of an astrology school, no, in Australia. No, so we have gathered a really let's say reliable, ethical, and those people who really studied astrology.
All right. So for those who are interested, it is Astrology Friends Philippines on Facebook. Join the community if this sounds like something that you might be interested in. I do have one last reading, but then they didn't give the time of birth. Is that possible to still do a reading?
Let's see. Let's see.
Okay, so this is for Angelo, born December 19, 1990. They just want a general reading.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I just look at the planet that's applicable. Okay. Okay. He has several planets in Capricorn, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn will be changing sign I think in March. So
Mhm.
there will also be a shift, no, in his life or in his focus, no. For example, if his life has focused on career, or in the past few years, this coming year he will be very emotional, no, or he will deal more with emotional matters, which means relationship. So there will
Ooh.
be a shift of focus or emphasis in his life.
All right, there we go, Angelo. I hope that helped you. One last reading. Can I ask
Okay.
for a reading from you, Resty?
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Okay, here we go. I am also Aries, I think. So April 7, 1992.
Okay.
Um, born 6:36 in the evening.
Okay.
And then my question is, will I be traveling abroad next year? At may kasama ba ako?
Okay. Uh, okay. So wait. I'll do another chart. This is called. There's another technique. It's called horary astrology. No? So when you ask a question, we come up with a chart, and then we interpret the chart itself. No?
Okay.
Okay. And okay. Sige. Hmm. Uh, wait. Your birthday is April 7,
92.
1992. No? Okay.
Mhm.
And coincidentally, the chart now is exactly the same chart, similar
Oh,
to your chart. Okay. Okay. So anyway, that's the beauty of this system. It's called horary astrology. So anyway, this chart says December 13. This chart says that your ruler is in the fourth house, which means where you are right now, and then you want to travel far. That's Mars. Huh. Okay. There
ooh,
is actually a conflict, no? Maybe because of the mother or family in general, no? Or some concerns about
okay.
the house. Okay, no?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
are you able to connect with that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, and there is Mars also involved. No, Mars is maybe some hindrances, no, in connection with another person or even papers or documents. No? So it's not a smooth sailing thing. No? Okay, that's based on the horary. No? Looking
Okay.
at your chart, Jupiter is in the house of others, no, or partnership. No?
Okay.
I don't know what you mean by if you are going to travel with another person, or maybe are you going to meet another person abroad? I mean, important person,
Travel
something like.
together, ganon.
Okay, travel together. No? Okay, okay. Jupiter will be affecting or hitting your Venus, no, which means together with someone. So the answer is yes with regards to that
Okay.
yeah, question. And same thing with the others. No, you are now in a period of actually literally going out, or trying new
Yes.
things.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, I feel like I was the only one with a so-so reading. Everyone else had like good news. Ako lang
Uh,
yung may
eh, eh, eh,
conflict tayo.
you should have asked your question earlier.
Yun nga eh. Okay lang. Sorry to end on a sad note. The joke lang. Hindi naman. But thank you. Thank you so much, Resty, for taking the time this evening. It was so nice to do all these readings. Also for everybody who have sent in their questions and their information so that they can get a prediction from you for next year. Now, once again, any last messages, like where can they find you? And
Mhm.
possibly a New Year's wish or affirmation that you want for everyone listening next year.
Okay. Of course, they can find me through my FB page, Filipino Astrologer. No? And if they want to get in touch with me, they can send a message, an email at filipinoastrologer@gmail.com. No? And I think 2023 is about starting anew, starting a new phase in one's life. So my message for everyone is that, make the most out of the coming year. We are getting out of the pandemic, no? Or although the economic downturn might not really be reversed soon, but it's still up to us, no, to make our lives better. No? So just go for it, no, and do what you need to do.
All right, there we go. Monsters. That was Filipino astrologer Resti Santiago for you guys. Thank you so much for gracing the show with your knowledge of medieval astrology, with all of the readings that you did this evening. I hope you had fun as much as I did as well,
Yeah,
listening
yeah.
to the readings.
It was fun talking with you, no, with these interesting questions.
Yes, for sure. So, with that, that is it for our episode 2 for predictions 2023. If you guys want more of these predictions as well, we have a couple more episodes coming up in the coming weeks. But for now, thank you again, Resty. Thank you to all the listeners who have tuned in, and keep it locked always right here on the Monster. Bye bye.